will be less than, from sunrise to sunrise will be less than 25.
Is our time moving fast?
Yes, we have to stop now.
So, I will stop here, but I want you to take this break, reflecting on the nature of serial time and how it connects with non-serial time, because these are the two fundamental aspects of the spiritual crisis that we want to discuss. There is vertical time and there is serial time. So inshallah, when we gather again after a short break, 20 minutes, half an hour break, and in the second hour, I will say a few more things, but then I want to engage on with you, with your questions and with your input into what has been said so far. So just before we go, just reflect on what has been said. We have, number one, try to understand what is meant by the spiritual. We have tried to expand and understand what is meant by crisis. And we have said that there is a vertical dimension, there is a serial dimension to the crisis, which manifested more severely and more intensely after the Renaissance. So we take that period in the serial time to be the start of this crisis in which we are all born. We are all born into this crisis. We didn't make it, but we are born into it. So inshallah, we'll come back to it.
Thank you very much. We'll meet here at 2:45, please.
Right. Before that, may I just say that let's try to remain focused in our session by re-establishing, if I may suggest, the fundamental aspect of these sessions with ourselves, namely that we are here to gain an understanding that will be experiential. We are here, inshallah, to learn from each other, to benefit from this session, to benefit from our presence together here in a way that is not just purely theoretical, academic, just outside us, but within us. Only then, at least for me, there is meaning in it, which means we are trying to see where do we stand at this time in our life, in our inner journey. Because whether or not we recognize it, we all have inner journeys. Second, if we could restrict the questions to the first portion about which trying to understand what is meant by the spiritual crisis. And then inshallah I'll go. Bismillah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you very much for your illuminating lecture. Although you said that it's better to focus on the elements here, I want to have a point which is out of the scope with the permission, and then I come back to the questions related to the discussion. Dr. Muzaffar mentioned a very valuable point. It is understood, because he was kindly listening to my presentation the other day, according to his understanding, is understood from my saying that Ghazali was very influential in changing or deviating the Muslim civilization to get distant from rational sciences like astronomy, mathematics, physics. This is not what I meant. Perhaps I was not very precise. What I said is that it is said, because personally I do not have any deep research on that. It was good that Dr. Muzaffar said that he personally followed that point and had research on that. And he believed that that is not the case. Therefore, I would like to ask you that in any time that you think it is good to explain that, and I will be benefited from that. First. Second, coming to your presentation. First of all, you said that crisis, according to your definition, would mean that something out of our normal expectations. The question is that, for example, you said that now we are in crisis spiritually because we are changing all of the mood of or domain of normal belief to God, to our religious core beliefs. My question is that how can we know that which one is normal? If you say that the normal mood is that what we are used to do, now because in modern time we change that attitude, then we call it crisis. If somebody said no, that was crisis, who said that that was normal and this is abnormal? For example, in the time of Prophet, when he invited people to come to him, according to the Quran, one argument that people argued against him said that we have a normal set of belief. You are going to change this normal set of beliefs, and because our fathers and fathers, these are tradition. Why you are going to change that tradition? And he argued, yes, but your father's ideas were wrong. Therefore, can we say that because before scientific revolution, for example, we had a set of belief to God, to religion and things, now we change it. Who said that this is crisis? Maybe that was crisis. We may say that, oh, we believe that. This is my first question. The second question is that...
Could we get an answer to the first one before we move to the second?
Okay.
Unless the second is related to the first, then I can...
Is it related?
No.
So the... Subhanallah. Thank you very much for bringing this. This is very fundamental too, but what I want to convey, and therefore perhaps the answer will elaborate and help us to understand what is meant by crisis and why the present situation is termed as crisis. I mentioned that in the creation there is a pattern. That pattern we take to be the norm. We take the norm to be the covenant that children of Adam alayhi salam established with the Creator, Alastu bi Rabbikum, imprinted in the fitrah, recognized internally by the human beings to be the norm. Now we take, for example, a circle made out of a flexible material, molded into a circular form, to be the normal shape of that material that is internally coherent with the structure of that. We take the hexagon to be the normal shape of the beehives, the cell of the bee where honey is collected. The bees did not sit down together, had a mathematical conference and said, this is the structure that is most suited to collect honey. Now the function of the bees, one very important function of the bee is to make honey. And the honey has to be stored in a structure, and the structure that the that the beeswax can construct. The structure that the beeswax can construct can be a circle, can be a square, can be a triangle. But the hexagonal structure happens to be the only structure, the only possible geometrical shape that can store the maximum amount of honey using the least amount of beeswax. So it's in the economy of the system to have a normal, what we call the normal, to be the hexagonal structure. So there are built-in inherent fitra constructions, modes of being that are taken to be the norm. When they are destroyed by external forces, somebody comes and genetically modifies the internal being of the bees and says, now you create a square circle, a square beehive, because I have done this to you. That we call a crisis, because now it is not on the pattern of the fitra. Now the pattern of the fitra is that each human being who comes to this world comes with the imprint of the fitra. We know that to be truth. We know that to be the norm because of the knowledge that comes to us from beyond the human source, namely the Creator Himself.
But that imprinted belief is according to the Quran. But if we want to talk rationally, we cannot rely on the Quran. This is the belief. Okay, if I believe to the Quran, it is the case. But if we are going to talk to human beings,
right.
Then how you can say that you are
good.
getting out of normality?
Very good. I mentioned the, and we can go back. We can go back to the statement that I made about the external realities not requiring a priori belief in the Creator. The sun comes out, there is a pattern, and this is the argument that has gone around, I mentioned, among the philosophical circles for centuries, to prove the existence of the Creator from the created order. So we don't believe, we don't take the Quran, we don't go to the belief system, but we go to the rational system then, because we have to somewhere draw the line that according to this criterion, we are going to say this is truth and this is falsehood. Which means we don't believe in we are not talking about the Quran, but we have to devise another system according to which we are going to weigh the scale, for example. In the two pans of the scale, we say this side is heavy and this side is light. Why do we say that? We can say the opposite as well. But it is through common human consensus, we say the side that goes down is called heavy and the side that goes up is called light. Now somebody can say, well, I don't really believe this. This side that is going down should be called the light side.
Oh, that is the matter of terminology. Then, okay, if we define the word light to have the meaning of heavy, okay, there's no problem. There's a matter of definition. And you refer to argument design, as the Christian says, or physician, or the argument of the order. Okay. And some people have been convinced, according to his argument, that there is a creator. But we have people who have scientific mind, who believe to the order, and they don't come to this conclusion. And this is, in fact, my second question. Because وَإِذْ أَخَذَ رَبُّكَ مِنْ بَنِي آدَمَ, the verse we say, أَلَسْتُ بَرَبِّكُمْ? Yes, this is true. It is in the Quran. He said that being ignorant of this
law
commitment does not arm us for the day after to say that we didn't know. But suppose somebody is there before God saying that, oh God, I did my best and I didn't want to be an evil, but I did my best and my argument didn't take me to you. Honestly, then what could be done? If in the realm of Urafa, the answer is there. They say that everybody believes to God, whether who knows or doesn't. So we don't have any kafir in that sense. Means that when we say in our prayer, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدْ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينَ, there are two layers of meanings for that. One layer is that I intentionally say, oh God, I will worship you only and only you. Means I decide because I know that you are the creator. وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينَ, and we ask help only from you because we know that no one but you can help. This is one layer of meaning, the intentional, the ma'na al-insha'iyya. But there is another layer of this meaning, which Urafa says, and they say, this word, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدْ, oh God, we worship you, and إِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينَ, it is not an intentional preposition. It is just a news. A news. I mean that just we are reading a fact. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدْ, we worship you. Means that whatever we worship is you. No one but you is worshipable. If we think it is false. إِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينَ does not mean that we decide not to ask help from anyone but you. But whatever help we ask, whether we are conscious or not, is from you. This is the meaning. I mean that instead of the meaning of insha'iyya, we have the meaning of khabariyya. This is a khabar. This is not an intention. In that layer of understanding, the problem is solved. For example, Imam Khomeini, not only Urafa, who was not the follower of fiqh, like Jalaluddin Rumi and other, or Bayazid or thing. Imam Khomeini also in his tafsir said that. He said that this does not have an intentional meaning. They said that even we say Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, praise goes back to you, means that it doesn't mean that I am deciding to praise only you. No, we said that whatever we praise, any kind of beauty we praise, whether we know God or we are believer or not, refers to you. This is an approach we solve a problem. I don't want to say this is right or wrong, but this is to solve the problem. But on the other side, we cannot say that, oh, I'm wrong. I don't say we cannot. I say, how can we argue that ignorance of law does not mean that we are forgiven from the result? But this is in day-to-day life of human. But before God, He has created us. And in the day after, if somebody said that, oh God, I'm in your hand, and I did my best, I didn't come.
Yes, but you see this factor that you are adding of the intention. I didn't mention that. That changes the equation. This person is pleading that I did my best. The intentional denial or the intentional shirk is different from what you are saying. So you are adding one additional factor to the equation of the ignorance of the law. Ignorance of the law is not valid in the legal sense, but what you are adding is the sincerity of this person who tried his best, who said, well, I didn't reach you, but that adds to a different factor, and we don't know. The mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is great, and we don't know what the consequences of that. But we know, and that also ties to your first aspect of what you said about the norm. I'm sure you have read Hayy ibn Yaqzan, Ibn Tufail's wonderful reconstruction of this very question of somebody going to an island, being raised in total isolation of any source of knowledge, and reaching God, reaching the Creator through his own inner self. That was dealing with the same kind of question. So whether or not we recognize there is a pattern inside, and this is experiential, this doesn't go through the rational mind. So there is truth verification processes in the spiritual realm, fi anfusihim, yani fi afaki, outside, as well as within the processes and the experiences that we experience as human beings. Whether or not one believes in law, as mentioned in the scripture, whether Quran or other books, everyone knows in an experiential sense that to kill another person without any cause is not right, it's not correct. How do human beings get to that stage, that inner knowledge, that if I took this life, it will not be a correct act to do? So there is a norm built in the human spirit. When that norm is disturbed, that's what we call crisis. And now that you mentioned the Renaissance, how can we say that this is crisis and the previous time is not crisis? It is in the severance of the internal relationship, is in the recognition or the clouding of that inner relationship, that fundamental truths which used to manifest themselves at the scale at which they used to manifest. That scale has been disturbed. And it's also built into the temporal manifestation. That's where I stopped previous session. That as the age of the universe, as the age of the cosmos increases, there is a cumulative process that leads to more chaos. Any system, and this is also in the system science, any system every system tends to go towards chaos unless corrective measures are taken. In the Newton's conception of the universe as well, a thing in motion will remain perpetually in motion unless other forces are operating on it, and other forces are always operating on it. So if you throw a ball, theoretically it can just keep going forever, but because of the force of gravitation and friction, it will come to a stop. So there are built-in processes in the system, and this is what, inshallah, either today or tomorrow we'll go further into the temporal manifestation of the emergence of the crisis. Why with time? And this is, well, you also mentioned the day before yesterday, about the periodic corrective measures, like when the prophets came, each one of them brought humanity back to Tawheed. And the reason for incremental coming of the prophets, God could have sent all the prophets at once, or could have not sent any prophet at all. But there is a linkage with the linear time. And we can go further into that, but I think the sister there.
Thank you very much. Your reference to Ibn Tufail was a very, very good guidance. And please do not forget about Ghazali's poem to correct me.
Sorry, before you, the first hand up was Sergey, unless he wants to forgo his...
I forgo.
Yeah, okay. Then, go.
I can talk from personal experience, although I understand that this is obviously subjective. It could be accused of being subjective, but I grew up in a family where religion just wasn't an issue, as in, it's just the Bible was on the shelf, but it's like a bunch of stories, exactly as it says in Quran. These are the stories of people from the old times, and it's all about hellfire and damnation, and we're much more sophisticated than that. And my family are just not concerned with the questions of existence. What they want is to preserve their safety, to have a nice lifestyle, to live according to sort of certain standard of living. That's their objective. And but I feel that I was born with that memory of being in another place. But all the people around me, just it's like I don't know, being on one planet where you know what trees are like, you go to another planet where there's no trees, and you're trying to explain to people what a tree's like, and they're just like, what? It's just not part of their vocabulary. And for me, it was a struggle from scratch to find out the truth. So it was just, even from when I was 11, 12 years old, it was like just an instinct. All I had was just an instinct, because we didn't read the holy books, or if we did, it was on a Sunday. I was asked to read the Bible in church. I didn't even know what I was talking about. Then we go home, we watch TV, we have lunch, and carry on with our lives. And so all these big questions are just an irrelevance. So it was really a struggle looking into different texts, trying to figure out not a lot of different religions, and so I feel, as you say, it's kind of on a scale. I mean, if you don't have a clear deen, then of course you just go with the flow, with whatever your society, however that is. So of course you get sort of sucked into this flow, but at the same time it doesn't feel right. And I remember, I would say that, okay, Ibn Tufayl is quite a nice story. I mean, he's on this island, and it's very pleasant. But if you're kind of postmodern, inner city, everything's people around you are in chaos. The city is in chaos, and the lifestyle is superficial, and something in you saying there's something not right, but you don't have any framework to point a way out, or to say this, to say yes in written words, this is what's wrong with your society. You just have to work it out from scratch. And for me, it was like being in prison, which is kind of a contradiction, because I was living a life that was technically, I had all the freedom I wanted, but for me it's like freedom doesn't mean anything if you don't have knowledge. If you don't know what your existence is, that freedom is just, you might as well not even bother to have it. So I think with Islam, coming to, finding people of knowledge who have already gone on this path, who are confirming what is within you. So it's not like you actually are converting to the path. You've just found, the path has been unveiled for you, and you have a written text confirming what this memory that you have, this feeling of existence. Yeah.
What you just saying also brings tears to my eyes. But what brought to my mind was this oxygen that we are breathing. We are taking for granted that there is oxygen. We take a long breath, and this is continuity of our life in this body. This oxygen, the spiritual oxygen. The oxygen for the spiritual life, what you are describing is that you feel suffocation. If somehow these terrible bombs that they have developed now, they drop the bomb and the oxygen disappears from the planet. Have you seen that during the bombing in Afghanistan, etc.? What they have done is they have created these bombs which create huge amount of vacuum, and every living existence disappears within seconds from that whole area where the bomb is dropped. They create this vacuum. So if there is no oxygen